Since March 2020, the pandemic caused by COVID-19 has spread around the world, affecting the health of many people who have been infected, saturating the healthcare system, limiting free movement, suspending the operation of businesses, and consequently affecting the global economy. Although this is a new virus that scientists, doctors, and citizens are learning about every day, it is extremely important to always be up to date with information on the possibilities of contagion, the effects it infected, which medications to use, and other factors to be aware of. That is why it is vital that the entire population is alerted to the situation and follows the instructions for their care. One of the affected sectors, focusing on the city of Barranquilla, has been the restaurant sector. Businesses have been closed, the entry of customers has been limited, and the massive deliveries and consumption from homes has increased. However, as we have overcome the peaks, the entrance to establishments has become more flexible, causing an unnecessary agglomeration and possible focus of contagion. To achieve mass awareness in citizens who decide to go to a restaurant, a mass communication strategy should be implemented to analyze and reflect on whether it is necessary to go, and if so, to take preventive measures. This will be through social networks in conjunction with the support of municipalities and governorates and announcements on local and national channels. The policies and demands of the restaurant will also help with the requirements that the person must meet to be able to enter and eat. We will fulfill the role of transmitting the alert and warnings of everything related to COVID-19 in closed establishments such as restaurants and the preventive measures that should be taken into account. At the beginning of the pandemic, isolation measures have been modified. Through campaigns, announcements of the mayor's office, and decrees, citizens have been aware of the preventive measures in our environment. We usually find out through social networks such as Twitter and Instagram about the measures updated by the mayor's office, such as whether there will be curfew, picket line, if there will be no restriction, and we will resume the preventive isolation, etc. In conjunction with this, restaurants have been modifying their logistics and operation, whether they will be open to the public until certain hours or if they will only work with home services and deliveries. The competitive advantage of isolation measures within establishments is that they seek the protection of citizens to avoid massive contagions and to protect people's health. However, these measures do not benefit everyone, taking into account that not everyone will feel comfortable going to a restaurant and having to wear a mandatory mask, breaking the protection and biosecurity measure, and incidentally, the restaurant will be affected by the decrease in sales. Considering the above, there are two types of isolation that have been exercised throughout the pandemic. These are smart isolation and mandatory isolation. Both have advantages and disadvantages. These measures within restaurants can result as follows. For the advantage of smart isolations, we have that it helps establishments and businesses function properly and does not affect the economy with great impact, and it provides flexibility for people to enter the establishment without restrictions, ensuring that they apply the spacing and all biosecurity measures. The cons of smart isolation: the lack of self-control by the individual can lead to freedom on the part of the citizens by not taking preventive measures, causing a massive increase in contagions. Another is as a consequence of massive contagions, it may increase saturation in the health system. Now, the advantage of the mandatory isolation exercises control and restrictions in the movement of citizens and entry to establishments such as restaurants, avoiding contacts and future contagions, and helps raises awareness among citizens of the evaluation of their decisions on whether or not to go out to eat at a restaurant rather than ordering out. The cons of mandatory isolations will be the mandatory closure of restaurants and the prohibition of the entry of potential customers can affect the establishment economically, decreasing its sales and therefore in its income. Our decision is that it has to be established the mandatory isolation because everything we're going through right now with the COVID-19, everybody's getting sick and it's really contagious and we need to protect everybody's health. The consumer niche chosen is the young adult population that consume food restaurants physically. It can be a range of people between 16 to 60 years, taking into account that biosecurity measures and protections against COVID-19 concerns everyone who goes out on the street and anyone is susceptible to contagion. As for the type of purchase decision and consumer attention to the product or service, this is done through advertising and public relations, as this helps to raise awareness of the current contingency and what it entails to be in an enclosed environment. While the citizen seeks information to the updated on what to consider when going to the restaurant, mass advertising should be implemented so that all information reaches all channels and destinations so that all citizens are aware of the issue and know decision to make.
Describe here the four gold promotions IPRC that are informative. That is, the promotion seeks to convert an existing need into a one or to stimulate interest in a new product. The second one is persuading, and it describes that the persuasive promotion is designed to stimulate a purchase or an action. The third one is reminding. That is, reminder promotion is used to keep the product and brand name in the public minds. And the fourth one and last one is the connecting. The idea behind social media is to form relationship with customers and potential customers through technological ties such as Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or other social media platforms. So we say that the goal of promotions that the campaign for restaurants located in Barranquilla aim to perform are all of them, but mainly informative and persuading. Why? Because we consider that these are the ones that, according to the context of the situation of what is going on right now in the city regarding the pandemic, the COVID-19, and all of the quarantine context, these ones are the specific goals that match perfectly to the performance a restaurant has during this time. Informative because in the campaign is going to be first of all the context of what is happening and the pros of following the measures that are being made. Persuading because people need to understand the message, get to do all the recommended actions. All the others, such as reminding, are for the population to keep in mind the message and its importance. And connecting is by keeping track of what has been done and what can we do by this campaign. The key and main promise to communicate is all about safeness, and is what it's all about in the present right now. While the restaurants, the shops, all the locals, or all the businesses are looking for safeness into their clients. So the idea is to make a positioning statement with this to all the restaurant visitors about the safety all people must have with the measures that have been made and are being implemented and communicated inside the local as in outside. The idea is for them to see why we are doing this so they can realize what we are actually facing, not just transmitting some message for something repetitive, but for the safety of the population itself, so they can do all the safety tips all by themselves because they know the meaning and the background of doing it.
The elements of the promotional mix that are suggested for restaurants in Barranquilla to use is one of them advertisement. Advertising is one of the elements that were used during the pandemic and still are being used and will be used, but most of all of the advertisement campaigns were on social media and TV because people were not going outside. Nowadays, a banner outside the restaurant is proposed for people to be aware and reminded of biosecurity measures, plus the social media and TV campaigns that are being used. This is the banner that we propose the restaurants in Barranquilla to use outside the restaurants. This will help people to be reminded that we still have to take care of us and other people. Restaurants in Barranquilla should still use social media as their way of communication and advertisement. It is less expensive and still being more effective because we are still going through the pandemic. And even if nowadays more people are going outside during the lockdowns and the peaks, they are still ordering food online and using social media as their way of communication. Another one is sales promotion. We suggest this strategy is implemented because people have a lot of options, including dining at home, but they need to save money because the uncertainty that the pandemic is still causing in Barranquilla. Even if some period during the pandemic things seem to be getting back to normal, the lockdowns and the increase of the cases brought many fears as in the beginning of the pandemic, and sales promotion is a good way of incentivizing people to eat from your restaurant at their home or even in the restaurant. Factors affecting the promotional mix of restaurants in Barranquilla are first of all nature of the product. It is a consumer product, which means that it's easier to promote because they are suitable for mass marketing and do not require two specific characteristics. The type of buying decision is a routine decision. The available funds are social media allows restaurants to reach people with lower cost, but they have to be more imaginative and assertive because people get too much information in social media, so it's harder to get people to interact with your product. So they have to be more intelligent at the time of making marketing online. The stage in the product life cycle of all restaurants in Barranquilla face a new stage that never happened before during the pandemic and had to adapt to the new methodology. Some didn't even have delivery and had to implement this modality. It is suggested that it's still being used. Push and pull strategies are a strategy chosen for restaurants in Barranquilla is push because the nature of the product and the mechanism of buying food in a restaurant in Barranquilla. The target market characteristics are the restaurants in Barranquilla have to design a smart campaign in order to engage the target audience in social media because the target market is receiving a lot of information every day and the campaign has to be as smart and interactive as possible. In conclusion, we do suggest restaurants in Barranquilla to keep trying to help people take care of themselves, but without affecting the least possible their sales. So we suggest they use online marketing, but still remind people to take care of themselves and make them feel safe in the restaurants by applying the social distancing and all security measures. Also, we suggest them to use delivery option for their customers. Thank you so much for your attention and have a good day.